You're listening to Beaufort County's House of Cards on the Big Patriot Radio Network, brought to you by F1 Mechanical. All podcasts on this channel are for entertainment purposes only and may not be the opinion or belief of the host or producer. All music on any of the Big Patriot Radio Network channels has been purchased by Big Patriot Radio through all applicable licensing. Sit back and enjoy.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards, live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, from the studios here at Big Patriot Radio, I am Mike Covert. Good to be here with you, your host tonight. And hey, my voice sounds a lot better. I don't sound like I'm going through puberty at the very moment. So it is October 10th. What a great Thursday evening here in the Low Country. We have a great show for you tonight. And again, our program is brought to you by the folks at F1 Mechanical in the South Carolina Low Country and in Charlotte. Give them a call today, 843-284-9156. That's 843-284-9156. Tonight, again, another great show on tap for you. Call your friends, neighbors, your friends of your neighbors, and have them tune in tonight. Get it on here. Get them on here and sit down with a glass of wine or a cold beer and some popcorn and have a little fun. Either tell them, tune in on Facebook. We've got several channels on Facebook now. You can just search for Beaufort County's House of Cards. You can search for Big Patriot Radio Network. And you can also search for the Overton Group and Corey Allen. We run live on that channel as well. You can go to YouTube. That is Beaufort County's House of Cards. Just search that. Go to the live tab, and you'll be there. And then for those of you that are out working or riding down the road, we are simulcasting live on BigPatriotRadio.com. BigPatriotRadio.com on obviously on the internet, on Alexa, on Roku. If you want a live 365, by the way, don't forget we've got podcasts 5 nights a week. Monday night, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. It's the New America Movement with David and Jordan Cox. Had dinner with David a couple nights ago. That is at 7 and 9 p.m. on Mondays. Wednesdays at 8 and 9. It is the Overton Report with Corey Allen. Thursday nights right here with the Big Patriot Radio Network in Beaufort County's House of Cards. Saturday evenings at 7. Be sure to tune in for Ann Ubellis, the Radio Chickadee, and Southern Sense Radio Podcast. That is at 7 o'clock on Saturdays. And Sunday at 7 o'clock, our good friend Andrew Southwick and Culture Crossroads. Be sure to tune in with that. If you are a podcaster and you want to get a new stream of listeners, maybe you're new in the podcasting thing and you want to get into that, give us a call, shoot us an email, bigpatriotradio@gmail.com, and see if we can make that happen here. We've got 2 more nights that are available. Plus, we can do it at any time that suits you. Just get in touch with us. While you're at it, take a look at the scrolling. Well, they can't do that, Mike, if it's not up there. There you go. Take a look at the scrolling banner underneath me right there. That is information to help you, help us, help you, helping us to keep this service free. Yes, it does cost to put this on the radio network. And so any contributions or donations that you can do are awesome. We certainly appreciate it. It can be as simple as Facebook stars or even Venmo. To those already doing so, whether it be Patreon or Venmo or Facebook stars or whatever, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely. That is much appreciated. All right, last show we had, our number one listening city was Beaufort, South Carolina, by far and above all the other shows since we had Representative Shannon Erickson on. Lexington, actually, we were there just the other night. They came in second. The number one most requested song this week was Midnight Madness by Foghat. That's got a few years under it. Before we get too far down one of the many roads we're going to travel on this week, let me first say I would be remiss if I did not say this to all the folks in Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, all of South Carolina, Georgia mountains, I think southwestern Virginia, all over the state of Florida, of course, and anywhere else. Our hearts, prayers, concerns are out with all of those folks who have been affected by Hurricane Helene and last night's arrival of Hurricane Milton. If you can and if you have the means, please consider donating goods or money to respected groups. And you can find that out if you want to know some who we know of that is respectable and it's legit. Just get in touch with me and I'll forward that to you. Those folks that can get that stuff out there to those people who are still stuck, stranded, or affected. The last thing they need, honestly, is just more people, unfettered access. So that is not always the best thing. Get in touch with us. We'll let you know who are some legit companies or groups. We have a lot of them right here, and we'll get that to you.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
You know, I was honored this week to be able to attend the Lexington County GOP Bronze Gala event. If you want to see an energetic, patriotic, and a totally dynamic group, I tell you, go to the Lexington County GOP, one of their meetings. I was thoroughly impressed by them. Their hospitality was second to none. I greatly appreciate their hospitality. The keynote speaker at this event, now Corey Allen did a great job, but the keynote speaker at this event was a gentleman not many know by name, but some know. Let me see if I've got his logo. Some know him by, let's see here. Where are you? There he is. Let's put it up on the screen. Some know him by the Babylon Bee. Yep. You know what he does. His name is Kyle Mann, the editor-in-chief of the Babylon Bee. There you see the graphic right there. He did a great job. Now, for those of you that don't know what the Babylon Bee is, it's satire. Okay, it's satire comedy, and they are actually a Christian-based group. I was not aware of that. I don't go and check them out all the time, but Kyle Mann did a great job, and it was great to meet him and listen to him. His talk and comments obviously had, there was a certain spin to it, so to speak, but the humor and satire his company writes on, or the premise on, was the spin he took his speech toward. And I get it. But he resonated with some subtleties that I think, a lot of people honestly were able to take away from there. And I'm sure since then able to think back and go, some of those I'm going to share with you tonight. My question would be, why are liberally programmed progressives, socialists, Marxists, whatever, why are they always so mad? He asked that question and I got to thinking about it. I was like, I don't know. Think about that though. Why are they so mad? They're always pissed off. They're always pissed off about something. And when you ask them, why are you so pissed off? They get even more pissed off. It's true. If you take a step back and look at it, normal, everyday Democrats don't usually get so bent out of alignment. Normal people don't usually get so bent out of alignment, generally speaking, but the far left and the far fringe of the left, they're mad. Are they mad because they continually are dealing with the demons of their own madness? Are they so pissed because when they take a step back and listen to themselves, and I'm talking about the far sideline, when they listen to themselves, it sounds even stupid to them. Are they so bent because they're bound and determined? You can see it in their face. They're bound and determined to bring Venezuela or Cuba or China to the United States, and clear-minded now, specific thinking patriots, true patriots, would never let that happen. Is that what they're so pissed off about? Mann spoke about this in his commentary this week, and what happened to laughter. Not only why are they so mad, but what happened to laughter in this country? You know, back when I was a child, programs like Johnny Carson, the Carol Burnett Show, Benny Hill, Monty Python, they were funny as hell, and families or friends would gather around the television after dinner for a good laugh. Now, the laughter to offset a hard day's work, a hard day at school or the job, whatever, people laughed. For those of you that are, you know, in the 40s or older, when these shows were around, you know what I'm talking about. It was just funny. Life was simpler in some means. We went to bed, got up, did it again, sort of like a rinse and repeat. But after a good laugh, we were always fresh. When you think about it now, we were always fresh after that good laugh. Not today. No. Yeah, there's still late night TV. But look at shows like Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel. They are written and delivered with a full-on hard stop attack on conservatives. Ad nauseum, don't pass go. That is their program. They attack the conservatives, Christians, and anyone who doesn't think like they do. Since when did that become okay? Just this week, Kamala Harris was on the what used to be funny Howard Stern show. Stern, who replaced his shock jock comedy with political correctness and subversive socialism, isn't funny any longer. His audience has shrunk. And he asked Harris, this is just recently, he said, do you feel you will be safe if Trump wins? That's exactly what he said. Do you feel safe? You will be safe if Trump wins? Will you stay in America if he wins? I mean, what kind of BS journalism is that? Howard Stern, much like I didn't grow up listening to him. That wasn't allowed on the radio. But I grew up listening to, back in Virginia, the Grease Man on DC 101. I can still hear him. He's still alive. Did commercials for O.C. Welch. And he lives down here somewhere. The Grease Manelli, the Grease Man, DC 101. They were the godfathers of shock jock radio. That's the precursor to, you know, Tom and Ted in the morning or Mike in the morning show. That was the precursor to all that. Shock jocks. Politically incorrect, unapologetic. They instilled humor. Now, it may not have been, or it may not be your flavor of humor, but it's still humor. Stern, who has, he's left, and he left the people that brought him to the dance. You ever heard that saying? You know, stay with the one who brought you. He left the person that brought him to the dance and has gone to the dark side of not wanting to offend. Charismatically, a joke coming from Stern. Let me paraphrase this way. Mark Twain once said, the human race has only one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. Human race has only one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. Many people have said that the phrase laughter is the best medicine. I had to look that up. I wasn't sure who brought that. But it seems like it may have originated from Proverbs 17:22, which reads, quote, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. I don't know who, what, or where, but I do know this. It's true. It's true. Laughter is the best medicine. Why do I know it's true? 17 minutes after the hour here on Beaufort County's House of Cards. Don't forget, we want your comments, questions. Put them in the chat bar and whatever social media you're on. We just got live on the simulcast on BigPatriotRadio.com. We see two folks from Offutt Air Base have already tuned in. Anyway, why do I know this is true? Because I laugh at the funniest person I know all of the time. Every day, in fact. And that person is me. I'm not always successful at whatever it is, but I try to laugh at screw-ups, mistakes, accomplishments, wins, the whole thing. I think that that's what keeps me sane, as they say. And hey, if you can't laugh at yourself, Who can you laugh at? At one point in time, even Howard Stern thought he was funny. I bet if you asked him now or Robin Quivers, I bet they would say, we're not that funny. Not like we used to be. In politics, though, even politicians need to have a sense of humor. They need to have a sense of humor and, a good laugh once in a while. The face of frown, like, Jerry Nadler, Democrat representative of New York, will create that forever nasty look on your face, the same one that Jerry Nadler has. Case in point. In March of 1981, those of you who, again, in my time period or older, March 1981, what happened? That was when President Ronald Reagan was shot in Washington, D.C. As he was placed on the operating table with a bullet in his lung prior to being sedated, this is true, Reagan famously looked up at a team of medical professionals around him, and you can only imagine that the room probably was packed with people doing specific things. He looked up at them and said, I hope you all are Republicans. Even at the time nearest to death, one of the most favored presidents of the United States of all times was able to make a quick laugh, putting smiles maybe on someone's face who needed it the most besides himself. According to Louis Warkall, professor at the University of Southern California, he's political science at the Dornsife campus, politicians can seem remote and inaccessible. You ever felt that way? If you haven't, then you haven't met a politician. Humor allows people to relate to them. Quote, it's a powerful validator of their humanity, he said. I can tell you as a politician, that firsthand, I can tell you that is true. Many, many politicians from around South Carolina watch this show. Many are tonight, as we see here. So I say to you, fellow politicians, think to those times when you're contemplating a problem or problems of the people you represent. Those times when clear thought is often hard to come by because the myriad of thoughts and voices running through your mind. Every one of you know exactly what that feels like. You may become that remote and inaccessible person. Don't say it'll never happen to you, my fellow politicians, because it will. It either already has or it will. And many things add to that. Power, displeasure, unharmonious situations. But there is a huge caveat there. Using humor to connect with people or to lower those walls separating you from them is fine as long as it's legitimate and genuine. Fake humor is easily seen through. Just remember, we all put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time. Democrat, Republican, Socialist, Communist. It's one leg at a time. Some resources like the Babylon Bee, again, a Christian satire conservative media site, has ran the gamut of political humor. I said earlier that many, if not most, on the left don't smile, don't laugh. These are the same ones who cry out for places like Snopes.com and fact check to repeatedly do the fact checking on the Babylon Bee. That's right. My man was showing us examples of stuff he's put out there or they've put out there that Snopes has actually fact checked. Like there was one that said a Catholic Church, input your name here, has a stained glass window of Donald Trump in the church. It's satire. Of course they don't. Snopes fact checked it. Where is the common sense at? There's another one had a headline says, quote, Waltz, that's Tampon Tim Waltz, polling strong among men who use the middle urinal. It's a picture of urinals in a men's room. Waltz, what did it say? Waltz polling strong among men who use the middle urinal. They fact check this. Another example, and this is why President Trump gets into so much hot water, if you will. It's his use of satire. Trump said a few months back something akin to, and I didn't look it up verbatim because it's not that important. He said something to akin like, only on day one will I be a dictator. It's satire. The left and the mass media went batshit crazy and still is by many accounts that, see, even he says he is going to be a dictator. They're so distraught that they can't laugh anymore. They don't even see it in front of their eyes. It's satire. They've lost their ever-loving sense of humor. So I'm not sure the remedy for all of this, but I can tell you that we are in a bad place right now. We're in a bad place where what is absolutely wrong is now deemed to possibly be okay. We're in a place now where it's perfectly okay, according to social degenerates on the left, to allow children to read the equivalent of Hustler magazine, and some worse, from books on a school's library shelf because some progressive and socialist parents demand it. But it's not okay for the parents who, be them conservative or not, just decent parents, it's not okay for them to not want that to be allowed. That is not okay and won't be entertained. We've seen that here in Beaufort County. We've seen that all over South Carolina. We've really seen that all over the country. You must leave all books alone, the far left claims. Total absurdity to think that it's okay to have books in the view of a, it's really 5 through 18, but let's talk about elementary school, 5 through 9 or 10 or whatever they are in 5th grade. We're in a bad place where people on the conservative side are demonized because they want all life forms to succeed rather than by only the most extreme on the left want the ability to allow, in some cases, for abortions up to and including birth. Now, the far left is indicating that is not true now, even though the former governor of Virginia has spoken about it. He had spoken about up to and including birth for that to happen. We are at a time where socialist and Marxist type politicians don't mind if the citizens in their cities live on the streets. They will actually give them more needles because they care for them. We're in a bad situation when the people or the lives of people in the lives of people in Lebanon are worth $157 million more than the folks in Appalachia. We're in a bad place when a vast population of our homeless in this country are veterans who have given everything only to come back home to nothing. And some government officials would rather keep them in squalor rather than offer the medical, financial, and mental health resources they need to become prosperous once again. They strapped on the uniform, put the flag on the shoulder, toted a gun. They come back home with medical problems, severe mental problems. Many end up on the street, and many are ignored. What can we get out of being in such a bad place? When can we all learn to laugh just a little? We need to laugh just a little. There's a song about that. I'm not going to sing it because I don't really remember it, but there's a song about that. We all need to learn to laugh a little, smile a little, and live a little. Maybe taking some time out and reading the Babylon Bee is a pretty good idea for all of us. And that's tonight's open.
Everything that rocks is right here.
right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, checking the phone here. Our first guest should be coming on. Let's see here. I'm on the air. We'll get ready for him here in just a second. It is almost 7:30 here on Beaufort County's House of Cards. Coming up at I believe it's going to be the 8 o'clock hour. We have the Republican candidate for sheriff in Jasper County, Chris Malfris. Tried to have him on last week. Chris got a little under the weather, and we're going to have him back on tonight. So I want to, let's move this around. I want to bring on tonight's first guest. He is the service director for an HVAC company. You see his banner up here in the corner. HVAC company that serves the low country of South Carolina and the greater Charlotte area. His company, F1 Mechanical, is a new advertiser with Big Patriot Radio Network and Beaufort County's House of Cards. And the company is the show sponsor of the F1 Mechanical Election Night show right here on Big Patriot Radio, the Beaufort County House of Cards, and will also be on the Overton Reports channel. We'll be on there. And if that's not enough, we will be simulcasting live on BigPatriotRadio.com. Join me in welcoming Mr. Derek Miller of F1 Mechanical. Derek, how are you?
Hey, Mike, how are you? I'm good, man.
Good.
How are you? Long time no talk.
Absolutely. It's good to, I didn't get your message till I was already on the air. Anyway, it is good to see you. I want to make sure I have, let's see here. I want to make sure we have your hotline that people can get in touch with you. That is 284-5196, right?
284-9156, Mike.
See, I did it again.
284-9156. I did it.
There must be some kind of, there's a backstory there, ladies and gentlemen, that we won't go into.
It must be a WD-40 in your background kind of getting to your brain there.
Yeah, that's what it is. Let's see if we can't get this across here, and that'll come up shortly. So again, good to see you. How have you been?
Good to see you, man.
Business is going to be good.
Been great, man. I think this is a great show you got going on. I've been looking at you guys. I don't know how long you've been on the air, but this is awesome, man. I've been listening to the radio station for a while. Obviously, the music you've been playing, I've been listening to forever. My parents were playing it, so I think it's awesome what you're doing and remarkable, and just venturing out and getting the local businesses out in there, man. I think it's great.
Well, hey, I appreciate that. We have I guess this is like 2 years, actually a little bit more than 2 years for the House of Cards. Big Patriot Radio, which was born outside of House of Cards, is, I guess it's right about 2 years. So, we're hitting that mark, and but it's thanks to all of our listeners, our advertisers, people like you, that make this thing happen. We're glad to have you with us, and we're really excited about the upcoming F1 Mechanical Election Night show. That's going to be big time here. So,
yes.
I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, super excited about that, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Tell everybody about F1 Mechanical, what you guys are about and about you, what your roles and what you do there.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. There's a bit of a glitch. Might be a couple seconds between I hear you and you hear me. So I apologize if the facial recognitions don't match the vocals or whatever. So, but yeah, F1 Mechanical, man. I you and I can both go deep in the weeds with heating and air conditioning, right? I mean, you've been in the involved industry for, gosh, I want to say decades, maybe centuries. I don't know, Mike. And it just, there comes a time, and the service industry right now is such in a tough spot because of the trust and the factors that are going on online, and the people, just the missing trust factor, right? Mm-hmm. And so F1 Mechanical was sort of evolved about a year ago from our owner, Chris Fouch. Okay, he's an extremely successful owner of another company up in Charlotte, North Carolina, who holds multiple licenses, multiple states. And he wanted to change that stigma, Mike. He wanted to change it completely to where, it's not to where you go out to, McDonald's and they're charging $10 and is what you get, right? We want to kind of just slow down a bit and really get back to the roots of what the service industry is, which is taking care of the customer, right? It truly is. And I know it sounds a cliche, but it's not. It really is not. And because everyone's after the big dollar, everyone's after this, more sort of technicians. But the grand idea is to get in the home and make the customer trust the service industry again, right? And so our owner decided to open this business up. Extremely passionate about the trade. We have an awesome engineer, Steve. We got a senior estimator, Christian. My assistant service director, Lane. He's got his 2 daughters involved, which are awesome at marketing, which you guys talked, of course. And so we're very motivated. We're very hungry, all of us, just to get the stigma off people and provide the absolute best experience any customer's ever seen.
That is fantastic. I like going after the service and the customer, keeping the customer ahead of everything in mind. And I use that as well. And I don't see you guys doing anything but being successful as you move forward. One of the things I really like about you, Derek, is that you and your company, your dedication to veterans, and not only veterans, but those still in the military. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, yeah, I got to look over to my right. I got a POW flag right here. Of course, deep in my heart with all the veterans. Anybody honestly just serves or even just protects the country, whether it be a nurse, teacher, firefighter, whatever it may be. Just a well endowed, put yourself in front of others kind of person, right? I got 19 years in the Air Force right now. I think I'm gonna be hanging up the hat probably next year, maybe the year after. Who knows? We'll see how much fun I'm having. Lane's been in the Marines. He spent about 4 years in there. So it's a true passion for the military. Absolutely, man. Of course, there's a discount involved, if you just go with us. And it's just something that we want to give back, but it really can't give back enough. Right. Did you do some time, Mike?
I wasn't in the military. I worked for the DOD in a private arena over in Africa.
That's right. Yeah. How was that?
That sucked.
Hot. It was great. Yeah. They don't put us in Hawaii or Tahiti or any places like that. That's for sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. But absolutely, our we don't have a target audience right now, Mike. Anybody, we want to give that trust back, and any good American, of course, we're going to bend over backwards for anybody, especially bend over backwards for any kind of veteran, social worker, anybody's giving back to the country.
Right. That is awesome. And I want to, tell you, thank you for your service, and Lane for his, and anybody else there at F1 that also, and you were in the Air Force, right?
Yep. Still currently in. Yep.
Just couldn't do the Marine thing, huh?
No, I didn't decide I didn't want to eat crayons, man. So I decided I could actually take a couple of tests, and I did pretty well at the test. So they said you should probably not go to this door. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, when you're 18 years old, no one knows what they want to do, man. No one truly knows. And so the light was lit on the Air Force door,
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Derek, heating and air conditioning is one of those little things next to water that you cannot live without. Well, you will not live without. Refrigeration and food, the list goes on and on. Because of that, some places see a lot of folks deciding to get in on that business. What makes F1 Mechanical different? In other words, if Jane Doe is watching, why should she call you and not somebody else?
Oh, sorry, Mike, you still there? I didn't catch the last part of that question.
Why should what makes F1 Mechanical different? So someone would say, I'm going to call them instead of calling, Joe Blow down the street. Why call you?
Yep. Great question. Well, Joe Blow, I don't, who trusts a guy named Joe Blow, but at the end of the day, right. I can give off, all my experiences and all the reviews we have online and who we have and yeah, we'll give you this for free and do whatever it takes, right?
Mhm.
But the true fuel that drives the engine of passion, right, is understanding the trade and understanding the overall goal, which is to make people happy, right? The, o-
Mhm.
I see so many businesses get so big and so quickly to where they decide to get so many customers, they decide to hire whoever it takes just to fill the customers' needs, right?
Mhm.
What does that do? Customers are going to go away. They're going to say, hey, this company's inconsistent. They don't answer their phone. This person quit, whatever it takes, right? And so with my military experience and Chris Fouch's vision, I really did decide to let's pump the brakes, right?
Mhm.
Let's realize what customers are really truly expecting, whether it be in this state or this city. They want an experience, right? They want every experience to be the same, just like Chick-fil-A, right?
Mhm.
And so you
Right.
go into the door, they expect the same thing every time. Okay. So all of our technicians are going to be vetted the same way, truly certified on every single way, from the EPA to the NATE to all the certifications you can before you even step in your door. Right. So you can attest to the quality of the training we have, the quality of the management, the quality of the leadership, the quality of the vision from Chris, and truly gain a consistent environment from F1 Mechanical. I mean, let's get real, right? You go to
Yeah.
certain places, you love a restaurant, and one time it was good, one time it was bad. You may not go there again, but at the end of the day, the restaurant's still good, right?
Mhm.
So what is breaking that place? And that happened post pandemic. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
And it sucks, man. It sucks. There's a lot of people that care about this trade. There's a lot of people that care about people's wellness, and we don't want to go in there and just go for all this money and all that. We truly care about what you're after, and it just, we want to break that stigma of the service industry, and we love for all these businesses to thrive and get that service industry like it was back in the 60s and 70s, and truly people to trust us again.
Awesome. So now we know why to call you and why to call you instead of someone else. So tell us, like, what is the business plan? Are you residential new construction geared? Are you service and maintenance and replacement? Where does the focus
Yeah, so
lie?
yeah, I mean, focus. Yeah. So again, we just established this company about a year ago. So our focus right now is to gain some concrete, right? Is to get some shoes on and start running, right? And
Mhm.
remain consistent. Our headquarters, if you will, is in Charlotte, North Carolina, which an awesome team up there of just pretty much everybody is running with it. Christian's a senior estimator. He's putting bids out there for, I mean, you're talking, multifamily, commercial, new construction, I mean, multi-million-dollar jobs.
Mhm.
And then down here, it's going to be the same goal, right? You're talking getting a Palmetto Bluff, right? With new construction, getting all those builders, the commercial industry with all those builders, Kenneth Scott, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And truly not saying no to a lot, but the quality in which we can instill and promise to what we offer is going to be there, right? But my main goal is the service side right now, is to really branch out and to pave the way for the service industry to branch out, which realistically, that there's no end. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in every restaurant, every home, every business, every building that's around here. So right now we have the manpower and the skill set to really not say no to a lot of jobs.
Awesome. For people to pick up the phone and call, when it comes to heating and air conditioning or plumbing, this is a need-based thing. Not many people, have it pre-planned on the calendar, except those that, you
Yeah.
do plan maintenance for and so forth.
Mhm.
So to be able to do that, one of the things people like to know, well, do they only serve or service one brand, or do they service all, or, will they take care of mine? Is there a limit, that you only work on a couple of flavors of the ice cream, or any
Yeah.
flavor you take care of?
That's a great question. I love ice cream, by the way. And so, I want to say most, but I would say a good amount of companies, they decide to get branded. And
Mhm.
branded, I mean, they get in touch with a manufacturer, they get close with them, they become a 5-star dealer or whatever it takes, right? well, things happen, right? And it comes time when maybe that manufacturer doesn't hold their end of the bargain. And so what are you going to do if the next man up, you're not certified on them, right? So our brand is F1 Mechanical. We are literally certified and fully capable of working on any manufacturer whatsoever, to a mini split, to an LG VRF on a hotel place, or a Mitsubishi VRF, or I know you know about those. The idea is to get the full experience where any tech that comes in has all the capabilities to withstand any call at any time. That's the idea. So we're not branded.
The reason that I asked that is because a lot of people will associate, there's the train truck, or there's the American Standard guy, or there's the Carrier guy. You all, and I noticed when looking at you guys, your trucks were just like mine used to be. The brand was me.
Right.
The brand is you.
Right.
It's F1 Mechanical. And quite frankly, even though I worked for a couple of manufacturers, at the end of the day, they sell a lot of boxes to a lot of people. You only care about you. So, it's
right. And that's it's a true backbone of the team too. The team that we have in North Carolina and here saw that, and they knew that in this Hilton Head Bluffing area, these customers are very smart and they're very aware. They know, they do the research, right? And they know what they want. So they decided to go ahead and get accounts everywhere. We got accounts for all up down the East Coast that you can't even heard of half the brands, but we can get it. And so that's the idea. It's not to say no, that we can. We are the experts, and we can take care of whatever brand you have.
Gotcha. We have people watching and listening tonight. That number looks like it's closely approaching almost 1,100 on all the channels and on the radio so far. People in Beaufort, Fripp Island, Hilton Head Island.
Hilton Head's good. Head. Fripp Island's good.
Yeah.
We're at Dittal Island today. A beautiful place.
If
there's anybody out there who can get me golf on Dittal Island, that would be great.
Ridgeland, Somerville, Lexington, Gilbert, Orangeburg, Charleston, Rankin, Statesboro, Walterboro, Greenville, Pickens. This is where people are at that are watching right now. We also have folks right outside of your home office in Gaston, North Carolina, Belmont near the airport, and High Point. You serve all of those areas that I just talked about, right?
We do. Yes, sir. Yeah, we do. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. There's again, that phone number right there is our local phone number. You're going to call it. There's an extension for 1 for a local area in Bluffton, South Carolina. There's extension 2 is going to be your Charlotte with Vision. Super simple. We are available. We work weekends, of course, like anybody else. All I ask is just give us an opportunity, right? Give us an opportunity to ask a lot of questions about what's going on. Give us a chance to break that stigma of you've had 3 or 4 contractors in your home. You don't believe them. Let's really sit down and kind of get to the root of the issue. And I know you're shaking your head. I know I see it. Yeah. It's bothersome. It really is. They want to get in and get out. And we really want to break that,
One of the things that Harry Homeowner, Jane and John Doe are not up to speed with yet in many circles is the coming refrigerant transition that'll happen in about 60 days. If you would, please explain to the folks that are listening, what does that mean to them? Cost of equipment, not dollars, but I mean, exponentially increased refrigerant. What's going to happen and why?
Right. Oh, you still there, Mike?
Yep, still here.
Gotcha. Yep. So the government decided to do yet another mandate. I think I've seen probably 3 or 4 in my 2-decade career. It's coming, and it's not publicized for probably a reason, because really don't want customers to make their own decision. Who knows? So the 410A refrigerant is now becoming, let's call it extinct. I hope not to make it extinct. So they're kind of the A2L blend, which basically is going to be even more economically sound than what we already have. Okay. So as you know, let's say you're driving your car down the road and they say natural gas is going to an end. They're coming out with new gas. What do you think that's going to do to natural gas prices? Right. That's the best comparison I could say. It's going to drive them up. Right. And it's happening so quick that the education that's out there is so misinformed that customers just don't know what to do. And it's a scare tactic. It really is. But also it's real, right? We don't know what this propane-based refrigerant is going to do. We don't know how it's going to react. It's going to be approved. And once it does get approved, there's going to be great rebates by the states and the government and all that stuff. But the refrigerant we have now is going to be so hard to get. With probably about 95% of the homes out here, probably 99% have this refrigerant we have right now. It's going to be hard to get it. It's going to go from $100 a pound to $150 a pound, just like what R22 did. So that's not an incentive to, if your system's 10 years old, 12 years old, 8 years old, it's high humidity levels, cause you discomfort. Mm-hmm. It's a good cause to go ahead and get your system replaced now before this real Band-Aid really occurs. It really is, because that you're seeing everything with the interest rates, inflation. We don't make this stuff up. We can't control it. But we are seeing in the last, I think, 90 days, we had to, just to match the market, increase our prices by about 15% just to match the market, so the incentive to purchase the new A2L refrigerant is there. It really is there. And so I think by December 1st, we're going to see a lot of consumers doing it at once. And my worry is the surplus is going to be out. My worry is that the equipment's going to be short, and customers decide to wait too long. And of course, you can't, they don't have it in stock. That's my concern.
One of the things that happened back in when R22, or what people used to just refer to it as Freon, when R22 was canned and 410A was brought in, contractors and dealers, could convert some of the older stuff to work with the new refrigerant and piecemeal thing. Is that the same thing that people can expect to be able to, do now? Or is 454B and 32, is it causing, it's all got to go?
So I will say, for all viewers listening out there are contractors that they have drop-in on their trucks, which is basically a refrigerant that you can add into the old Freon to get you up and going, to get you cooling, right? If you know your system's coming to an end and you have old refrigerant and they're doing that, it's another Band-Aid, it's extremely detrimental to put two different kinds of refrigerants in the same system. It is terrible for any kind of component that's in there. So will there be a drop-in for 410A? Yes, there will be. Will there be a need to, let's say you have to take all the old gas out, do all the work and spend thousands of dollars, put the new gas back in? Yeah, absolutely. We have to follow the EPA guidelines. We have to. And we don't recommend putting in a drop-in with the manufacturer's recommended refrigerant. We don't recommend really putting in any more refrigerant when there's a leak. Let's get real. You have a leak, right? The ozone is getting depleted. Let's find the leak. Let's take care of it and provide options. Okay, let's stop doing this Band-Aid stuff. Yeah. But will there be a drop-in? I'm sure there will be.
So when it comes to, obviously, being in this, you understand why I'm front loading this. But if someone has a typical Harry homeowner has an outdoor unit and an air handler, and the outdoor unit goes bad, can they put this new A2L refrigerant on the existing air handler?
So there's talk a lot about that, because you can easily adapt the new indoor coil and then the indoor TXV to match the outdoor unit. But what they're saying is now, because of the new A2L is a little bit less pressure than 410A, the coil size may actually be a little smaller. So it may not actually fit in your current air handler. So if that time comes, again, it's a matter of options, right? We would have to go to the manufacturer, American Standard, Trane, whoever it takes, and literally get sizes of what that new coil is and see if it'll match the current air handler, right? I don't think it's going to come to a point where you have to replace everything. I don't think that. I think there will easily be a time when technicians like me can adapt to the new thing and make it up to new standards. R22 to 410A was bad because you went from, pressures of 150, 200 to 350, 400, right? So everything had to be replaced. But I don't think that this difference is going to be much, because you're talking not a lot of pressure difference from 410A to A2L. In fact, half 410A is A2L, so R32.
I would call F1 Mechanical forward thinking. You guys seem to be on the cusp of technology. So what are some of the things that you all offer and do that either others can't or won't or don't?
Wow, valid question. So to me, it's not about showing up and saying, "Hey, here we are," because no one else did. I want a gold star and give it to me and give me a bunch of money. I don't mind turning customers down if it's certain circumstances. Hey, it's a 20-year-old unit. We put refrigerant in 5 times. We have to do our part with EPA and our government mandates, right? But what we have is an ability to our call center, right, of the certifications we offer, the amount of experience that our owner and all our engineers offer, to be able to provide options, right? And most technicians and most service industry companies don't do is provide options, because they say, hey, your thing's old, it's uncomfortable, you need to replace it. And customers just don't know that in the low country, systems last 8 to 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, whatever, right? And there's not a lot of education out there. So it takes options to say, hey, we can do X, Y, Z, we can do this, or we can do that. The choice really is yours, but we have the means to do all 3. We can fix it or we can replace it, right? And we'll be around another 30 years to say, hey, let's do it again, whatever it takes to be, right?
That is multi-generational service right there.
Yeah.
When you can go cradle to grave and then
cradle to grave. I think I'm going to get a shirt that says that, cradle to grave. I like that.
One of the last things here, Derek, and we're talking live with Derek Miller of F1 Mechanical. You see the number on the screen from Charlotte, North Carolina to the Low Country. These are your HVAC guys. Someone asked me this today. We were talking to someone. I was up in Charleston and talking about you guys. And they asked me a question. I was like, wow, I don't know. I haven't had anybody ask me that even when I was doing this. Are you guys, or have you all ever thought about, because people today, everything that, consumers want it now. They want it, boom. Right. They want satisfaction, ultimate satisfaction now, fast. I'm not waiting.
Yeah.
Do you all offer anything like, hey, you can pay via Venmo or Zelle, you don't have to write the check or go get the credit card. It's a tap of a phone. Those are the kind of things that go through your all's mind and the wheels get going like, hey, let's make it easier. Is that the kind of stuff F1 does?
Yeah, Mike, I'm pushing 40, man, but I'm not 50 yet. Yeah, I'm absolutely staying in front of the curve of technology. Yeah.
There you
go. We got baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen 19, whatever it is. You have to tend to the audience, right? And in the low country, checks are obviously a big thing, but yeah, we have a card readers. You can pay online, give us a check, whatever is easiest. If you trust us, you don't pay us in 3 weeks, or if you come out and steal that part, I'm totally kidding. I can steal the part. But just, we have means, we understand, but we also want to break that stigma too, right? You go out to a restaurant, you pay the bill. You go out to your lawyer, you pay the bill, right? We provide a service in your home, expect to go ahead and pay the bill. Right. And we make sure we have full approval before we do the work, make sure we diagnose it, get all approval, the amount, if we have the part in our truck before we do any work. And so we have all the means to pay the bill. It's if you guys are willing to pay the bill.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
All right, Derek, it's your elevator speech time. Any last comments you'd like to leave for those folks that are out here watching with us?
Oh, no, I thank you, everybody, for watching. Man, I really do. This has been a lot of fun. I was on another show last week, and I've been watching Covert. I was actually listening to ZZ Top for, I think, a couple of nights ago on his channel. So keep listening to him. He's doing great things. But, if you guys are confused about the refrigerant change, or read anything online about just a scare tactic, or just if you're having humidity levels, all of a sudden someone says $30,000 to fix it, give us a call. We recommend, we have free second opinions. Let's go in there. We'll give you a full sought out, thoroughly experienced, honest opinion on what needs to be done. We do condos, high rises, VRFs, commercial, don't really do a lot of industrial refrigeration. But in this area, there's not a lot we can't do or won't do, especially in Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. So just give us a call and reach out to us.
There you go. F1 Mechanical, 843-284-9156. Check them out.
There it is.
Your website, f1mechanical.com. I think I got that right.
Yep. You did, yeah.
Also, check out on election night, the F1 Mechanical election show right here on Big Patriot Radio and Beaufort County's House of Cards. Derek, thanks a lot. We're going to be continuing to talk with you guys whenever we can. We appreciate it. And thank you for coming on the show.
Mike, a heck of a pleasure, man. I love what you're doing here, brother. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. It is 8 o'clock, straight up 8 o'clock, waiting on our next guest to come into the green room. As soon as he does, he may be working. So, there may have been a police chase that he's involved with. I don't know, but we'll get to him here shortly as soon as Chris Malfris comes onto the scene. Let's see, something that I wanted to tell you all about, kind of hidden it, if you will, in the title of tonight's show. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah. Have you all heard about all of the buzz and whispers going on over in the city of Beaufort? Yeah, like what's going on, folks? Man, this is hotter than a fire on a cold fall night, shucking oysters down at the neighborhood watering hole. Let me tell you about a little something that happened within the last 10 days or something like that over in the city of Beaufort. First, there's been this incredible shakeup going on by a gentleman by the name of Graham Trask, who's been posting his claims of support for multiple city council, candidates and candidate for mayor, the current mayor, and at the same time, somewhat, you could call it bad mouthing, I guess, opponents and somehow opponents of theirs, and somehow has had his tax bills posted everywhere that shows, large parcels of land, no structures, whatever that is, and these taxes are incredibly low. Like there was a lot, I don't know, somewhere in Rebo Road or something like that. I don't remember. It was not built on, and the taxes are like $10 or $20 a year, ridiculously low. All due to a loophole in the state law that allows for some folks, these loopholes. It's kind of like Donald Trump. Trump was, you don't pay taxes, you don't pay, and he came out and he said, "Oh yeah, I pay taxes when I have to, but if I don't have to, you're right, I don't, because there's a loophole, and I took advantage of the loophole." And we all have that ability to take advantage of the loophole. This guy, and from what I'm reading and talking to folks at the county, he's actually allowed to do what he's doing. He found a loophole, the loophole in the state law that allows for some folks. Does it mean you're in the know? I don't know. To get access to, apparently, the ability to classify their land, the first purchase of the land, as agriculture. Anyhow, during one or more of the public trash talking events, and our guest is coming into the green room now. We'll get Sheriff Chris Malfris on here in a second. During one of the events of trash talking, Trask apparently went off on city manager Scott Marshall. Now, I know Scott personally, and I've known him for a long time, and I can tell you without question, without fail, Scott is honorable and is an upstanding guy. His wife is or was an EMS paramedic. I mean, they're salt. These are salt. Scott made a public statement as the city manager, and personally rather, to dispel any rumors or ill talking going on in the city towards him that was perpetrated or propagated rather by Mr. Trask. That's what it sounded like from me, allegedly. Marshall explained exactly what, in his opinion, Trask had been doing by filing suit after suit after suit against the city, and then complaining about how much money the city spends in legal fees. That's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. Marshall was visibly and rightly so shaken up about this. I I mean, the guy has a conscience. He was visibly shaken that he had to be doing this. Marshall feels, in my opinion only, that he has been attacked and his character has been called into question. I took it that way. If that had been, I put myself in his shoes, I would have thought the same thing. What are you doing, calling my character out? Well, former mayor Stephen Murray gets up. It was either at that meeting at a later time or another meeting. I think it was at another meeting because the venue looked different. And literally lays the data on the table. Well, not literally, figuratively lays the data on the table against sitting mayor Phil Cromer, who, by the way, is supported by Trask, on several fronts, including hurricane debris response, debris removal, a lack of communication to residents during the event, etc., in Murray's opinion. Murray had the tone and the language of someone who has had enough. Now, he hasn't told me he has had enough, but I understand people. I watch people. And I know when I know someone has had it up to here with whatever it is, I could tell he had had enough. Now, remember, he quit or resigned. Quit's not a proper term. He resigned as mayor prior to his term finishing out. And the response he gave about why had some more tones that enough is enough. He wanted to spend time with his children, with his family, et cetera, et cetera. Et cetera. I read between those lines, and it felt to me like maybe he had had enough. Now, is Trask involved with that? Murray, I don't know. Murray and council member Josh Scarlatti, who has been on this show, who is also running for mayor, have a friendship. No problem. Trask is against Scarlatti. He supports the mayor. Don't forget, we've got Sheriff Chris Malphurs coming up here in just a minute. Trask has been threatening these lawsuits in and around Beaufort to anyone. I've read some of these that, if you say another word, I'm going to sue you. Anyone who was rebutting him, it seems like this threat gets thrown out at him. Now, I know Murray, when he was mayor, was getting absolutely hammered. I mean, I don't mean drinking hammered. I mean, he was getting hammered on, and I mean attacked on social media prior to leaving his post as mayor about things, or some things that I'm now finding out about that may not be true after all. Was Trask involved in that? I don't know. Well, apparently there is someone in Beaufort, or maybe it's people, I don't know, who is in the know and created this social media account called Low Country Whispers or Whisperers or something like that. Whoever this is or whoever they are, they have some solid information and they're not afraid to share it. I don't know if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's 2, 10, 22. I don't know. I have no idea. They could be here. They could be in Timbuktu. I have no idea. And anybody I've ever asked and tried to dig a little bit, come on, give me some point. No one knows who this is. But they have solid information. The Low Country Whisperer, has put everything out there for you to peruse, and not only against Trask, and they've done a formidable job, but they've also, he or she or they have given their opinion on people like Melinda Hendrickson running against South Carolina House of Representatives education chairwoman Shannon Erickson, that Melinda Hendrickson, and her so-called campaign manager. As was said on social media page of the Low Country Whisperer, said Hendrickson lost when she brought Pemberton on as campaign manager. Boom! There were some pictures of Pemberton and pictures that weren't too flattering of the ordeal. We'll leave it at that. You can go look it up. If you want to learn more about that, just do a little digging, y'all. That is the whispering, the buzz that's going on around Beaufort, the city of Beaufort right now. It is a buzz. And interesting. All right. Our next guest, we're going to bring him on. He was with us previously when he was running in the Republican primary for sheriff in Jasper County, just across the way here. He won that election, now campaigning since then against the Democrat incumbent sheriff in Jasper County. Please join me in welcoming the next sheriff of Jasper County, Mr. Chris Malphurs, to the show. Sheriff, how are you, sir?
Good, man. How about you?
I'm doing good. If I was doing any better, my name would be Chris Malphurs.
If only.
That's what if only. That's what I tell people.
Oh, man.
Man, how has it been? I knew you were sick last week. Everything okay now?
Everything is good, brother. Had a few rough days there, but back normal and back at it.
Outstanding. You had a big primary win. Since then, you have been hitting the streets, campaigning to get that sheriff job back. Let's talk some brass tacks, as they say here.
Okay.
Crime is out of hand. Some call it out of hand. I prefer to call it out of hand as well in Jasper County. What has got to be done to get this under control?
Mike, we just got to get a hold to it. The bottom line is I just feel like the current sheriff is not doing his job. The crime rate is through the roof. And the only thing growing faster than crime is the sheriff's budget that they're doing nothing with. At the end of the day, when I was in office from January of 17 to January of 21, the crime rate was steadily decreasing. And since the day I walked out, it's been steadily increasing.
See, that right there, you can take all the other things, and some of that, what you just said, we'll talk about. But crime, the crime rate, you're either doing the job and you're making a dent in crime and the community safer, or you're not, or maybe you're not capable of in this instance, and crime is getting out of control. So at least we have someone here, ladies and gentlemen, who has a plan and is going to attack it on day one. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, we're dealing with the quality of life of the citizens of Jasper County. And right now it's not so good. And I hear it every day on every front from every group of people across the county that they're scared to death. They're living in a war zone. I have a lot of folks that work very hard to have things, but they're sleeping on the floor, scared to death their house is going to get shot up.
Unreal. Drugs and trafficking, huge. We talked about this on the show when you were here before. The problem is even worse. Many have said your opponent has turned a blind eye in some circles that I have poked around. They said he's turned a blind eye to it, especially the trafficking problem for drugs and humans. What are you going to do to attack this drug and human trafficking, drug trafficking? What is Sheriff Malphurs going to bring that's going to change that in Jasper County?
Well, Mike, the number one way you deter crime is hit it head on. The long-term drug investigations where you allow these guys to operate 12, 16, 18, 22 months, 24 months, 3 years before you crack down on them. That's not the way to do it. I remember the great police chief of Charleston City, Reuben Greenberg, a great man of policing and definitely a legend in his time. He assigned a cop to a drug dealer. So when the drug dealer came out of his house in the mornings, began his business, there was a cop sitting there waiting on him. The way you stop and deter crime and drug trafficking and the drug problem is you hit it head on every day as hard as you can, officer to drug dealer. That's what we have to do.
Understood. And that makes, I've got a little brain, far be it from me to think about it. But to me, that if you want to make it where the crime is going to go away, make it hard as hell for the criminal to keep doing what he's doing. I talk to folks in the judicial system, put these SOBs away. Don't give them a slap on the wrist. They've got to, if you're going to do hard time, you're probably going to go somewhere else. I made the point back in our previous interview. I told everybody, and I've had people tell me this since then. They were like, "Hey, man, I never knew that." Chris Malphurs and your, I guess it was your, I don't know what to call it, your drug crew or the task force or whatever. But while I don't hang around criminal circles, it was well known that if you're going to transport drugs from the state line north into Jasper County and out of it, you better pray to God that Chris Malphurs and his crew weren't there, because they're going to find it. They're going to find it. I mean, that's the reputation you have, that criminals, they don't want to screw with that. And they need that back in Jasper County. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Well, it's a passion for me. I grew up with a drug addicted mother that died, when I was 16 years old of drug and alcohol abuse. And I made a vow at that point to do all I could do to fight the war on drugs and to make as big as impact as I possibly could, not just locally, but nationally. And that's why I worked the highways for many years, seizing as much drug and drug money as I could to cripple them in any way possible. And, the drug dealers are running amok in Jasper County. They've told me themselves as I run into people, they say, we don't worry about a Jasper deputy. He'll ride by and he'll horn him with our hands up and wave at him, and he'll wave at us, and he'll ride by at 70, 80 miles an hour, but he's not going to mess with us. So we're not worried about it. But when you're in office, we had to get real jobs and actually work for a living.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I don't hang around the criminal element, but I can tell you, they know you're running. And I would bet you $1 to a donut that they may be moving when Sheriff Malphurs gets back in office. And that's just, again, I had talked to a son-in-law of mine who's in law enforcement. He was telling me about how is it, Sheriff, that how are you able to find, it's like you're a sniffing drug dog. You're a two-legged sniffing drug dog, Sheriff. How do you do that? How do you get trained to be like that?
Well, it's a sixth sense to a point, but also you have to be well educated. You have to study it just like you would anything else. If you want to learn a lot about it, you have to study. You have to delve yourself into. You have to what we call in our craft, invest in your craft. You have to spend your own money and invest your own time and efforts into learning the best you possibly can in order to be the best at your trade. And also, I was taught at a young age that you hang around everyone who's the best at what you want to be, and you take a look at each person and you make yourself. And that's what I did. And to a point there. And the other thing is just having the heart and the passion to do it. I've always said that you can take any person with a heart and a passion can do it. You can teach them anything. So that goes the longest, furthest is just having the passion to make the difference.
Well, hats off to you. Applaud. It's just it's amazing, and there has been time and time again going up and down 95. I'd see somebody pulled over and made the comment, whether it's to my wife or a child or whatever. Man, if that was Sheriff Malphurs, he's going to find something in that car. He's going to find something. If it's there, he's going to find it. Blaine Rayleigh, thanks for listening, Blaine. Sheriff, he says Chris has made some of the biggest drug busts ever in the area and the state. I remember the conversation, Sheriff, I had with 14th Solicitor Duffy Stone. I don't remember how many years ago, because it's been a while, but we were talking about a bust you had made. It was record setting. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
Well, I'll throw this out there. My largest cash seizure was nearly $1.8 million in one stop. Largest it was 66 pounds. I remember my largest heroin seizure was 12 or 14 pounds. Just throughout the years, we've definitely made some big ones that we're certainly, thankful for being able to get those drugs off the streets and actually save the lives of thousands of people.
Absolutely right.
Cripple the drug trade, at his knees with seizing the cash.
Let's talk about budget. You had mentioned that earlier, and everything happens around the budget. For fiscal year 24-25, the sheriff's office has a budget of $8,844,000 and a few nickels. From the total county budget of $59,527,000, roughly 15%, give or take. Is that in line with where the budget should be for the sheriff's department? And if it isn't, what do you believe, where should it be?
It's much better than it was. I tell everyone my budget was $3 million, give or take a little bit, and it went up about $1 million in 4 years. And his budget has went up nearly $5 million in 4 years. So it's better than it was. And of course, there was some political reasons there why I didn't get what I needed. I think it's better than it was. I think it's close to satisfactory. I think we can work with it. They have many, many more positions and better equipment, all the things that I went to the county council with and justified why we needed, but oftentimes didn't get. So the budget was a place of contention because there was a lot of times I had to spend the money to bring things up to par that were inadequate or unsatisfactory, that I just refused to allow my officers to operate with, piece of junk cars, with out of date vests, improper equipment. So yeah, I was very unpopular because I made some hasty decisions. I say hasty, some decisions to spend the money that needed to be spent because and I put the council on notice that they're going to be liable, not me, because I refused to allow my officers to operate with subpar equipment.
And hey, you're a constitutional officer. You're a sworn officer of the law. You not only do you have to protect and serve, the citizens and visitors of Jasper County, but you've got to protect your employees, the men and women who are out there wearing that badge and toting that vest and doing the actual work. So, I think this is not the place to play politics when that was the driving seat. Thank the Lord, and correct me if I'm wrong, but thank the Lord, no one was hurt. No one was, no deputies or officers were killed as a result of them not providing the right liquid funds for you. But that's an important role.
Well, it's when you send someone out to put their life on the line, you at least want to put them at ease as much as you can with the proper equipment needed to do the job to the best of their ability. And I can remember a situation many years ago where a Jasper County deputy got in a car wreck, and the deputy sued the county and won over $500,000 because the car was inadequate. It had many miles, and there was not maintenance records to show that they had adequately taken care and maintenance that car, and the county had to pay that money out. So it's just we have to make sure that our budget is where it needs to be, and to put our officers in safe vehicles and safe equipment and up to par equipment, so we're not here liable. And I told the county council that. I'm thankful that we have a much better county council today than we did throughout sheriff. And I think we have a county council that's willing to work with us and provide what's needed.
One of the things that's it's been talked about in Beaufort County for decades, is now talked about more and more in Jasper County, and that is the nasty word of growth. Growth has tentacles that reach far out beyond just houses, businesses, and roads. When people think of growth in a county, that's what they typically think of: more houses, more businesses, roads. But what they don't think about a lot is that it affects law enforcement. When you look at the growth that's going on and then the projected, I'm sure Jasper has, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan, and so forth.
Right.
Does Jasper County have enough officers, enough law enforcement, enough tools to do the job of keeping citizens safe and secure? And if the answer to that is no, for any time period forward, what is your plan to get the tools, the officers, the et cetera, to get this job done, to protect and serve that you're sworn to do?
Well, every year, Mike, the county council asks each department head to put together a comprehensive 10-year plan. And I did that for the first time when I was in office. That has not been done for the sheriff's office for many years prior to that. And with the upcoming port and the growth and trying to set the infrastructure, my plan in 2017, 18, 19, and 20 was to have about 175 officers in 10 years. Well, we're already grossly behind on the numbers, so we had to hire somewhere between 10 and 15 officers a year. Well, we're not there. They've hired some, and I'm thankful for those that they have hired and new positions they've added. However, in order to meet the comprehensive plan that the county council has signed and agreed to, we need to hire even more and quickly. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, if they choose not to do that, there again, I'll have to make sure that they understand that the liability is on them and not on me, because, I've asked, I've requested, I've showed a need for it. And if they choose not to, then, I've done all I could do at that point and have to put the liability back on the council. But like I said, I think the county council that we have, and obviously we have an election coming up November 5th, and I think we're going to vote a couple more better council members on. So I think Jasper County will be set up better for success after November 5th than we've been in many, many, many years.
Let's talk about one crime in specific that has gotten out of control in a lot of places in America, places that you wouldn't think of, places like Jasper County, and that is school shootings. Yes. I do not know. I have not been able to find anything that the current sheriff has said or written about that they have done any kind of practice or training, et cetera, for school shootings. Is that a priority for you to make sure that your people are trained to where they need to be to handle something, God forbid it happen, in Jasper County at one of the schools?
Absolutely. That was a big part of what I wanted to do, and we did that. One thing we did every year during the summertime is we actually held school shooter training at our local public school, and we asked the staff and the students to come in and be a part of that. And even the media, they got involved, and it was it really opened eyes, because we not only did we want to educate our officers, and we also wanted to educate the public and the students and the staff on what the action of law enforcement is going to be when we get there. So at the end of the day, it's very important. It is, it's training that we need to have more and more and more and more. And I think that, I know for a fact that once I get in there starting in January, we're going to immediately begin to develop a better relationship with schools and bring law enforcement throughout the county together in order to have a solid plan, make sure that the sheriff's department, the Ridgeland Police Department, the Hardyville Police Department, and all the schools are on the same page, so they know what to expect if anything ever happens, what the breakdown is, and how quick we're going to respond, and how quick we're going to dynamically enter the school. And obviously, now statistics show that the quicker you engage the shooter, the quicker innocent lives stop being, of hazard.
Blaine Rayleigh, once again, viewer checking in. His brother is a high school principal at Hardyville. Says he worries every day about this, and he wonders how much training they actually do. I'm right there with you. Let's talk about it's you and the incumbent. What is the biggest difference, in your opinion, other than political party? What's the biggest difference between you and your opponent?
Mike, I'm not scared to roll up my sleeves and do what needs to be done. At the end of the day, I am not scared to make the hard decisions. You have to hit these drug boys as hard as you can. And as nice as a guy the sheriff is, he's not willing to make the hard decisions. And along with the hard decisions, sometimes comes kickback or a lashback, if you will. Mm-hmm. You're out there and you're pushing the forefront of the law, and you're trying to keep the citizens safe. You have Monday morning quarterback attorneys that sit back for years and sue us over a decision that we had to make within 5 seconds. Yeah. Well, we have to do the best we can and let the chips fall where they may. And at the end of the day, if we can go to sleep at night, very little sleep because we're out there often, and we can say, hey, we've done the best we can do for the citizens of Jasper County, and we've made the hard decisions, and someone's safe, and someone's not dead, or someone's house not shot up, and someone can rest easier, then we've done our job.
What you just said, and a lot of, since I've known you for quite a while, relationships come into play. You have relationships in the community. You have relationships. The drug dealers. You know who they are. A good sheriff knows exactly who they are and where they are. So these relationships are critical. Same with relationships in law enforcement. So you had mentioned the other law enforcement agencies, Ridgeland PD, Hardyville PD, with Jasper County. You've also got relationships with state highway patrol, SLED, their agents, a U.S. Marshal's office. How are the relationships with that group? And if it can be better, what can you do as sheriff to make those relationships better so you've got people that have your back?
Well, right now they currently have a task force, what they call a task force. However, I just don't think that they're doing what needs to be done. At the end of the day, the same criminals that we're dealing with within the county, so are the two municipalities. So is Bluffton PD. So is Beaufort PD, Beaufort County, and even into Georgia. When I was there before, we had a great relationship with the sheriff of Effingham County.
Mm-hmm.
We had a task assigned to the fugitive task force, through not Homeland Security, but I can't. U.S. Marshals. We had U.S. Marshals guys, and that gave us the ability. We worked very well. We had very well with Bluffton PD. We used their SWAT team for a lot of stuff. At the end of the day, as far out as we can reach, we need to have that relationship because we're dealing with the same criminals. And a lot of times, Bluffton PD or Beaufort PD or Hardyville, they're spinning their wheels trying to collect information on a guy who we already have information on, and we're already working.
That's
so
right.
we're pushing and pulling with each other. So at the end of the day, we really need to come up with a better plan to work together, especially when it comes to networking of information. That's the biggest thing. I can recall right now when we worked a shooting and a homicide. We're working a homicide, and a local department had the gun in their evidence, but we didn't know it till several months later.
Wow.
Hindered the investigation, and even to this day, an arrest was never made on that case because, like I said, information was being fed to another agency, to an officer that never got to us. So it wasn't until many, many, many months later did we realize and understand that the gun used in the homicide was at a department sitting.
Wow. Sheriff, what would you like to tell the viewers of Jasper County and the listeners of Jasper County tonight? We're getting closer to Election Day. I think early voting is like the 21st, I believe, of October. Election Day is it's under 30 days now. What would you like to tell them?
Mike, at the end of the day, I'm not a politician. And when I was sheriff before, people say, well, that's a bad thing. Some people don't like me because I was brash and I went in like a bull in a china shop. But at the end of the day, the violent crime was so disproportionate in our county. Jasper don't need a nice guy. Jasper needs a sheriff that can be approached, that you can share information with, that you can trust. And at the end of the day, do something with it and capitalize on the opportunities, capitalize on the information, and make arrests, put the bad guys in jail. And I told all the bad guys, or as many as I could tell when I first took off, I said, you have three options. You can abide by the laws, you can move out of Jasper County, or you can go to jail. End of discussion. And
Pretty simple.
that was our theme. And I believe that's what we have to get back to, not only locally, but nationally on every level. I don't believe that anyone wants the less than 5% of the bad guys to affect the quality of life of the other 95% of us that live in our county. And that's exactly what's the less than 5% of the criminal element choose to be lifelong criminals are hurting the quality of life for the other 95% of all the folks that are good, honest, hardworking people in Jasper, Beaufort, in all the areas, but just particularly in Jasper County. And I refuse to allow that to continue as sheriff of this county.
I think it's outstanding what you're doing, Sheriff. Folks, this is Chris Malphris running for sheriff of Jasper County. Chris, you're always welcome here on the House of Cards. We want to hear from you again. We have a big election night show. It's the F1 Mechanical Election Night Show. It's our third one. I'm going to shoot you an invite that anytime you can do what we're doing right now. You'll have the link. You can come on and share your victory speech with us. But thank you again. And once again, Chris Malphris for Sheriff, Jasper County, ladies and gentlemen.
Mike, thank you so much, brother.
Absolutely.
Forward to seeing you again.
Your Rock Authority. Big Patriot Radio.
I wouldn't tell anybody about this.
All right. Again, if you're in Jasper County, I see many of you are that I can tell are. You've got a clear and concise choice for sheriff in Jasper County. And that is Chris Malphris. As Blaine says, he is not scared to get in his patrol car. Matter of fact, I can't tell you the number of times that I've seen him out there doing the work that he would. There's nothing he didn't ask that he wasn't doing himself. And I'm telling you, when it came to drugs, the man is incredible. Let's see here. Last thing I want to talk about. We do have a message coming in. Leilani, for some reason, yours won't open. I can read it. Real quick here. I don't know about the current. I know that yes, they do. Her question is, isn't it true that the Jasper County law enforcement, including the municipalities, concentrate their patrolling on I-95 because of the money and drugs seized, thereby leaving the actual residents vulnerable? How will you even it out so that residents are better protected? Fair question. However, I would say that, when they, and I don't know the percentages, but when they make these seizures, he was telling us about the, what was it, $1.2 million or something. That's not like that goes into the coffer of Jasper County. The drugs, they don't keep, this stuff goes other places. I wouldn't say that they concentrate there any more than anywhere else. But I can tell you this, Jasper County will be better off with Chris Malphurs as sheriff. I've seen him do it. I've seen him in action outside of being sheriff, working with troubled youth. I've seen the man. I believe with what he says, what he does, given the tools, the right tools to do the right job. And I think the county council in Jasper County is right now that they'll do that. They'll give him the tools. They'll give him the ability to do what he does best, and that is protect and serve. And if you want to get the criminals out of Jasper County, just like he said, you've got to go after them. And there is no one else I would put my money on. If I had to bet, that's the horse. The Chris Malphurs horse is the one I would bet on. So, Leilani, I'm sorry I can't post your question, but I did get it up there. All right. Last thing, news on the Beaufort County Council front. We're going to switch counties. Recently, a letter was sent out to all the media outlets, specifically the Island Packet and the Island News. I don't know if the Island Packet ran it or not, but I know the Island News did, and I want to pass this on to you. This letter was signed by 5 former Beaufort County Council members: Rick Caporal, Steve Fobe, Cynthia Bench, Stephen Baer, and myself. Here's the letter. This is important as this is out to the citizens of Beaufort County and is a backdrop to a meeting that we had with County Administrator Michael Moore since this came out. There it is. We are former members of Beaufort County Council with 26 years of experience in the internal workings of that council, more than 40 years experience in county government, and collectively we have enjoyed living in Beaufort County for more than 100 years. Based on what those experiences have taught us, we believe everyone should vote no in the upcoming referendum for an additional 1% transportation sales tax. That's right, Beaufort County, you have a 1% sales tax referendum question on the ballot. We are saying our belief is that you should vote no. Please consider the following points. If you were to vote yes, the county will assume that we had approved. If we were to vote yes, the county could assume that we approve these projects. Based upon all of our past experience, we may not like the details when we finally get to see them, but by then it's going to be too late. It'll be too late, and we will have lost our collective leverage, as they say. It's much wiser to have the county provide more design and visual detail on each project before we vote to approve it. Remember, this is a $950 million project, over 10 years collection of these taxes. Second, the county has shown us very little ability to listen to and act on public input. For example, County Council Vice Chair recently told a citizens group and a town of Hilton Head council member directly, quote, "We are not going to vote on your comments, whether you like it or not. After we have voted, we will hear you out." Next, likewise, the county has shown no talent for risk and budget management. For example, one of the 2018 projects has more than doubled its proposed cost and has a current shortfall so large that it cannot be filled, even with the new proposed tax. It'll need to absorb, or you would need to absorb, every available tax dollar in the county displacing other projects, and still not be able to find enough funds. When asked, the Beaufort County staff person about this replied, "We're on a righteous path. If the November referendum does not pass, Beaufort County is definitely resilient. I have no fear." This is, as I said last week, an ostrich in the sand, or an ostrich-like head in the sand approach. What backwards people run the system with their ostrich-like head in the sand? Ridiculous. Next, the county's description of the referendum projects indicates a collection of $950 million, brought down from a former $1.4 or $1.6 billion. If you add the projects up on your own, don't just take their word for it, add it up for yourself, it comes up to $900 million. Thus, there appears to be a $50 million slush fund. Explain that to the taxpayers. Please. Where did you? Oh, it was a mistake. It says 950 on the ballot. You can look at the ballots now. scvotes.org. It says 950. I did the math. My other four compadres did the math. It's 900 million. So much for fiscal transparency. Next, the penny tax wording. The county is going to, or not going to, they are now using penny tax. It's a gross distortion of true costs. The penny tax will cost each person in the county $238.72 more per year. Well, how do you know that? We did the math. It will cost a family of four more than $9,500 during the 10-year life of the tax. Even if 50% of the funding is paid for by visitors, as county council claims, it's still going to cost a family of four almost $10,000. Making massive amounts of cash available in advance without stronger justification will only further encourage the county's secretive and already poor and irresponsible planning and management. Next, the county has demonstrated very little ability to manage multiple projects at once. They can barely do one at a time. They're going to do a multitude. The 2018 version of this tax contained 34 projects. Only 4, or 12%, are currently complete. That's 6 years ago, almost 7. It would be a major mistake to add this backlog, 15 new projects on the 2024 list, to those that are still waiting, the other 20 from 2018. Next, the county has promised a citizen-led oversight committee if we were to fund their tax. But that is too late. The dollars will already be out of the bag, so to speak. Furthermore, can county council be trusted to run or suggest names for any oversight team? Council is led by members of a secretive and highly biased chamber linked group called the Greater Island Council. They deny it, but we've seen the membership list. The chairman is a member of the Greater Island Council, the GIC. They just succeeded in electing another crony to the County Transportation Committee, the county council. More on that after a while. Any audit or oversight would become a rubber stamp if you allow them to pick the members. It's a rubber stamp. I mean, how stupid do you people think we are? Finally, there's no reason for taxpayers to provide a 10-year blank check to a list of projects whose details we have not yet seen. It's going to be much wiser for citizens to demand that these projects be addressed in smaller, more transparent bites, subject to our approval only after we see a higher level of detail for each project. These 15 projects, instead of them all at one time, this is huge, $950 million. Do them in smaller bites, just like how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't bite the whole elephant at once. Anyway, that letter signed again by Stephen Bear, Cynthia Bench, Rick Caporal, and Michael Covert. We, again, vote no on November 5th and ask the county to not spend $950 million of your dollars. That would be a complete waste. All right, that is going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank Derek Miller of F1 Mechanical and Sheriff Chris Malphurs for coming on, both live tonight. I want to thank all of you for listening. Again, Facebook, YouTube. We are also in there. Anyway, don't forget, mark your calendars for Election Day, November 5th. That evening, beginning at about 6:45, it's the F1 Mechanical Election Night Show with Corey Allen and me, Mike Covert, right here on all of our channels. So until then, we will see you later. Be safe, and as always, watch your six.